Hey, I'm Everett Abrams, the Wizard of Wood, and today I just want to be a little frank and talk about expectations when it comes to applying stain and different types of stains. I feel like I've told this story and talked about this topic many times over in different videos, but the message doesn't resonate. I don't know why, but let's just be frank. A lot of people, well, I can't be frank because I'm actually Everett, but anyway, that's a dumb joke. Anyway, moving forward, when you put a stain down on a deck, people have so many choices and they don't know where to go. To be honest with you, the best thing you could do is put a sealer, if you can, on the deck or on any wood that's horizontal and sun's hitting it and weather and elements and so forth, because there's so many factors that are going to change the expectation of how long it's going to last. So what we want to do is, if you put a sealer down, a sealer is more flexible. It goes into the wood, it moves around with the wood is moving all the time. It expands and contracts. If you're talking about horizontal wood, don't put a solid on there. I don't care what a painter says. I don't care what anybody says. You're listening to the Wizard of Wood at this point. I got here for a reason. There's a reason I am who I am, and it comes from experience and doing this stuff. And I'm telling you, let's just use common sense. And if anybody wants to refute that, put it in the comments. I'd be glad to comment with you. But wood expands and contracts. It's always moving. You put something solid on it, solid stain, paint. They don't go on horizontal surfaces. If it's 40, 50 degrees, 30 degrees underneath, sun hits the top and it's warm and its surface temperature 60, 70, 80, you don't think that wood's moving all the time? It is, night to day. You put something solid on something moving, guess what happens? It pops and it peels. It's going to pop and peel. Now, think about it. You paint a house. It lasts 10, 15, 20 years before you repaint, depending on what brand, whatever their warranty or guarantee is, and yada yada yada, and what type and so forth. That doesn't work on horizontal wood on a deck. It just doesn't do that. So what happens is, when you do go to repaint a house, wooden house or something, then what happens is, if you've ever done it, you've got to do a lot of prep work. You have to scrape, pressure wash, sand, whatever you've got to do to get rid of that and remedy the surface before you put on a new coat. The key is you never put a good coat on a bad coat. So what do people do on a deck? You know what, just slap another solid coat on it. Then it was already peeling, it just peels more. Did they prep it enough? Do you have to strip it? Do you have to sand it? There's a lot more work into it. If you have to do that every 2, 3, 4 years, sometimes you get a little more out of it, you're gonna have to do it. It's part of the characteristics of a solid stain. A solid stain is very similar to paint. The only difference being is solid stains are permeable, so they allow for the flow of moisture and the transfer of moisture through the coating, whereas paint kind of keeps everything out. Solid stain is going to pop and peel. If it's on a vertical surface, different ball game. So let's just say you wanted to put a solid stain on for whatever reason. You could put a solid stain on a railing. It's going to last 5 years plus. You might have to touch it up. Probably not going to peel at all. The problem is the floor will. And then what are you going to do? Every 2 years you're going to deal with that? Well, how are you going to put stripper on the floor of a deck and not get stripper on the railing? So now you have to deal with that. It's a bad idea, and I'm telling you it's a bad idea, to put a solid coating on a horizontal surface. It will pop and peel no matter what you do, and you're going to have to deal with that popping and peeling. You're so much better putting on a sealer or a semi-transparent. Now, let's talk about stained colors. Just say, I always tell customers this, if the customer requested a lemon solid stain, that's the color they wanted, you could put a lemon solid on the railing and a lemon semi-transparent on the floor so you have the same tone. But don't put the solid on the floor. There's a way to do this, and do it smart. Now, I've always talked about maintenance. Maintenance is way better. It's so much better when all you have to do is come out every couple of years, do a light cleaning. Sometimes you get 3 years out of them. Hardwoods are going to be different. They'll last a year to 18 months before you have to redo it. But no matter what product you use, it wants to be one that's penetrating and wants to be able to not peel, so that all you come back is re-clean and replenish. Stay away from these solids. So many people are doing that, and then they compound the mistake, and I see it all the time. I'm talking to customers, they say, well, the painter said. if I hear that one more time, the painter said, and not all painters do bad work, trust me, but painters that want to just slap a coat on, slap a solid stain on, whatever it is, generally. And the other thing too is a lot of customers think, well, if it comes to wood, sometimes, it depends on what your status is in your field and in your company and so forth. But a lot of people will say, well, the painter said, and they act like the painter is the authority when it comes to this stuff. And they're the ones with a lot of misinformation a lot of times. Now, believe me, there's other trades that do this kind of stuff as well. It's not just painters. So I'm not trying to pick on painters per se. But solid coatings is not the way to go. I'm a little animated in this video, and there's for good reason. I've been dealing with this a lot this week, and a lot of it's because the temperatures got cooler across the United States. They got cooler in New Jersey where I'm at. What happens when it's cooler and then it's got the warm sun during the day, very cool nights? The wood is moving and it's popping and peeling. And customers call and say, Everett, I don't understand. I just had this done. I had it done before. What's going on? Can you tell me what it is? Well, why didn't you call me before? I guess that should be the first answer. But secondly is, because they're getting bad information and people are coming out and they think they're doing a good job. I know that there's not people out there that are just trying to, take money from somebody and get out of there. But they go out there and they're putting solid coats down. They're not prepping the way it should be prepped before you do that anyway, and then it just peels right away. I'm talking about things where decks where it peels within a year. Same year it was done, it's popping and peeling because we start getting into these drastic weather changes. Same thing happens in the spring. You'll get those warm days and cool nights, and that wood is moving, expanding, and contracting a lot. Anyway, again, I'm Everett Abrams, the Wizard of Wood. I'm here just a little animated today. It's an October day, middle of October in New Jersey, and I just feel bad for some of the customers I run into. I don't mind because I fix them, and when I get done, like my guys were there this morning, and the customer said, I'm so glad I found you. Don't ever go out of business. Keep your business going forever, blah, blah, blah. And they couldn't be more pleased because we fixed their problem. It had two different colors. It's peeling in areas. Somebody tried to put semi-solid over a solid or a semi-transparent over semi. There was all kinds of crap going on in this thing. And that's not the only one. I've done 3 of these just this week where they're popping and peeling. So Everett Abrams, the Wizard of Wood. Set your expectation, but know your product, know your craft, and the expectation should be set with the customer. Know what is easily maintained. Don't listen to just these Facebook groups. I see so much misinformation in there. People say to me, and I don't get it, they'll say, hey, check Google. Check Google, like Google's this authority. There is misinformation on Google too. A lot of stuff with wood restoration, exterior wood restoration. I mean, there's different ways. There's good, better, and best, but there's a lot of not best methods on there. Watch this channel. You'll see some best methods. Again, anybody wants to comment or challenge anything I've said, please do so. I'd be happy to have that conversation.